All right, let's get right into it. We're talking about a $400 million surcharge, a hidden tax that is silently, methodically grinding America's nuclear future to a halt. And this isn't a story about protests or technological failures. No, this is about a self-inflicted economic wound. Everything starts right here. With this, it's a massive, absolutely critical component that, well, we just don't make it in the US. And get this, in the last year alone, its price shot up 38%. But here's the twist. The company that makes it, they had nothing to do with it. So what's going on?
To really get why this matters so much, we have to understand what's at stake. We're in the middle of what's being called the Great Nuclear Promise. As of right now, the United States is going all in on a full-blown nuclear renaissance.
So, why the sudden urgency? It's really two massive forces hitting at once. First, you've got the absolutely insatiable energy demand from AI data centers. We're talking exponential growth. And second, of course, our own national goals to decarbonize the grid. Nuclear's supposed to be the answer, the clean, reliable backbone for all of it.
But right as this revival is supposed to be taking off, it's getting slammed by a nearly invisible cost crisis. One so severe, it's threatening to kill the whole dream before it even gets off the ground.
Which leads us to the real question, right? What is sabotaging America's nuclear future from the inside? Because the culprit here, it's not what you think.
The first piece of the puzzle, our first culprit, isn't a person. It's not some corporation. It's a number. A silent, but absolutely devastating currency tax.
And that number is 1.17. As of January 21st, 2026, that's the exchange rate between the euro and the US dollar. And believe it or not, that simple number has turned into a weapon pointed directly at American energy security.
Some analysts are calling it the Greenland Surcharge. It's basically a 13.5% price hike on all those critical nuclear parts we have to buy from Europe. And it's not because of manufacturing costs, it's purely because the euro got stronger against the dollar. Since America is completely dependent on European giants like Orano and Framatome for these parts, there is literally no way out.
So what does that look like in the real world? It looks like this. For a standard $1 billion reactor project, that currency shift alone adds an estimated $400 million in hidden costs. A massive surcharge tacked on before a single shovel ever hits the dirt. Now, if that wasn't bad enough, let's bring in the second culprit. Because on top of that currency tax, we've built a deliberate and completely non-negotiable tariff wall.
And this isn't just one tariff. No, it's a brutal stacking effect. First, you have new 25% tariffs on European goods. Okay. Then, those get stacked right on top of the 50% Section 232 tariffs that already exist for national security reasons on processed metals. It's a 1-2 punch that creates a compounding price shock.
And here's the trap. This is the part you really have to understand. As the source material points out, these tariffs are non-negotiable. Why? Because there is no American company that can make these parts. So developers have two options: pay the massive tax or kill the project. That's it.
When you put it all together, you get what we're calling the policy pincer. Just look at this chart. You see the baseline project cost? Now watch. The euro adds 13.5%. The tariffs add another 25%. The whole project's financing is thrown into absolute chaos. It's a capital crisis created entirely by our own policies.
So what's the actual damage on the ground? Well, this policy pincer isn't just hurting the big, old-school reactors. It's putting the next generation, the small modular reactors, or SMRs, directly in its crosshairs.
This matrix really breaks it down. You'd think the huge reactors would get hit the hardest, right? But SMRs are actually more vulnerable. Their supply chains are so complex with so many specialized parts from Europe that they face a slightly higher total cost increase, a staggering 17.8%.
And this isn't theoretical. It's hitting real companies right now. This risk profile shows NuScale Power, a leader in the SMR space, facing extreme exposure. And why is that? Because their entire business model is built on hitting a very specific price point, a price point that these new costs make nearly impossible to reach.
Let's just boil it down to the bottom line. The target price for SMR power was supposed to be around $100 per megawatt hour. Perfect for those big AI data centers. But the 2026 reality? It's now between $118 and $125. And that, I can tell you, is beyond the walkaway price for their single most important customers.
So when you look at all the evidence, the verdict is just crystal clear. This isn't some accident. It's a fundamental policy contradiction living at the very heart of the U.S. government.
I mean, here's the problem in a nutshell. On one hand, you have the Department of Energy issuing billions in loan guarantees to kickstart this nuclear renaissance. And on the other hand, you have the Treasury and trade offices putting policies in place that effectively kill it. It's like one hand is building a house while the other is setting it on fire.
A quote from the source material really just says it all. The Renaissance is not being delayed by protesters or technology. It is being choked by policy incoherence.
Which leaves all of us with one final urgent question. The American nuclear revival is on life support, being suffocated by its own government's policies. So will strategic exemptions arrive in time? Or are we going to watch this whole thing flatline for good? The clock is ticking.